Ries. Call now 1-888-564-6173 or post your questions using the hashtag #LiveRyanReese on his Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
We are back, and we have another insane show for you tonight. I got one of my very good friends. Actually, I got a couple very good friends in the studio tonight. If you just tuned in, this is Live with Ryan Ries. We've been on this radio show for about 5 months now. God's been doing rad things. We've been just chopping up and talking about just life issues and struggles that we go through as Christians. And tonight I have I got in the studio again Sean McKeon as the co-host, and one of my very good friends as well, Jimmy Brown from the band Dose. He's the lead singer. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's good to have you here. It's actually, I'm in shock that you're actually in the studio right now.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, how long have I known you? A couple years?
Yeah, it's been a couple years now. Actually, a little over 3, I think. A little over 3 years.
Yeah, it's just crazy that we're actually sitting here and we're going to be talking about this subject tonight. If you guys just tune in, we're going to be talking about suicide tonight. And as we go into this subject, you're going to realize that there's a lot of people that actually deal with this. We all have a friend of a family, a friend of the family, someone that we know, a relative that's close to us that has actually struggled with suicide or has committed suicide. And before we get into your full story, Jimmy is going to be talking about his way out of suicide. But just before we get into everything, let's just go back to, like, where did we meet? I know it was out in the 909 area. It was like off the 91 freeway or 15 or something.
It was out off the 10. It was at Citizens Business Bank Arena in Ontario right there.
Okay.
My band had won a show through our local radio station to play with POD.
Right.
And that was kind of the point where I was at my lowest point in life. And I had been watching Whosoever's videos on YouTube and things like that, and we kind of ran into each other that night in the hall, and it just kind of started from there.
So now, when I met you, though, you weren't actually even walking with God at this point. You
No.
had a drummer, Tyler.
Yes.
That actually works with us, and he's still involved with all of us. But he was a believer at that time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And he introduced you to the movement.
Actually, I found it.
You found it.
I
How'd you
found
find
it, dude, searching around on YouTube, just looking, and kind of stumbled upon it, and I was like, whoa, like this is something that I need to, like, be connected with. This is where I need to be. And I just kind of kept watching, and just it kind of made more and more sense to me the more that I watched. But it was always a thing for me, like, I know you don't know this, but, like, I have a big Christian family in the South.
Okay.
So I've always, I guess, had faith in God.
Right.
But I never had a relationship with God, and I was always deathly afraid of church. And when people
Why?
would talk,
Why were you scared of church?
being judged, like, I felt like I was going to be judged the most. I felt like I wasn't good enough, to go to church. So,
well, looking at you, you're in a band. You're a rock and roll kid. You got tattoos and stuff.
yeah.
And you feel like when you look like that and you go to church, you're going to be judged.
Oh, dude.
People do look at you. People funny,
Definitely, without a doubt, a doubt. But the reality is, it doesn't matter the way that people look at me.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's interesting, though, is when I met you, you're at the show, and you guys, it was like the battle of the bands for that area.
Yeah.
You guys won this huge contest, and then the final event was POD, Switchfoot, and a couple other bands, and you guys were playing this huge arena.
Yes.
Called the Citizens Arena.
Yes.
And when I met you guys, a band being in your situation, a new up-and-coming band, they win this whole thing, the show with this radio station, and now you guys are playing with these big bands, these bands that you guys look up to. You should be on top of the world. I think you have a song called On Top of the World as well. We'll get to that later. You should be on top of the world at this point, feeling like, dude, this is the beginning. This is like big time. This is the beginning of a new career, but you're on top of your game for being a garage band.
Yeah.
Right?
No, dude, it was a huge moment for us. And I didn't even care to be there.
But exactly. So
Crazy.
you had this huge moment, but your head and your heart were somewhere completely different.
Absolutely.
So you aren't a Christian, and we're walking. I remember I was walking backstage. Who was I with? I forget. Who was I with when I saw you? Do you remember?
You were with Ben.
I was with Ben.
Mm-hmm.
So we were actually backstage, and we're walking to the other side because the mayor of whatever city that is, and met us and goes, hey, man, I want you guys to go upstairs. I have like a VIP room. There's food. We went over there to get coffee, actually. We're like, let's get some coffee. So we walked back there, and we came across you. We saw you and Tyler, and I remember you coming up, and you're like, hey, man, we're playing here. Here's our CD, this and that. And I didn't know anything about you guys, but you're like, we know about the movement. So we all gave high fives, I think, took a picture together. And then I went upstairs, and there was actually no coffee there. So I'm like, what? Dude, this is lame. We just walked across this whole stadium, and there was no coffee. But what it was is it was God.
Yeah.
God took us across the whole stadium. I mean, we're chilling. We're right by the front stage. We're side stage, backstage. We could come out in the front. We're in the pit. Like, we don't need to go anywhere. But God took us on this journey across the stage. We meet you, and I had no idea, but you were in a place. Tell me what was going on in your head at that time. Where was your head at?
Basically, I really had no desire to live. I had done all of these things in my life, and they just build up and build up and build up. And I struggled with suicide from a young age because my mom actually committed suicide when I was 10. So I basically convinced myself at an early age that was going to be my path. And it was just this really self-destructive path. And I had finally just gotten to this point, and when I would look at myself in the mirror, I was like, dude, who are you? Like, who are you? What are you doing here? How did you screw your life up this bad? And I just felt...
What were the situations that you were going... What were the decisions and the things you were doing to get you to this place where you're actually looking back at the decisions you made?
It started really when I was around 13, and basically I was just trying to fill a void.
Yeah.
Like, I was in an immense amount of pain, and I started drinking at 13. And basically from there, it just started going faster and faster and faster. And my biggest struggle was alcohol, but there were also other things along the way: pills, cocaine.
So you're basically trying to suppress the pain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And I basically, I thought that I was going to be able to suppress it. I was going to hide it behind all of these things.
Yeah.
And eventually what you find out is after a certain amount of time, it's going to come out. And I had just gotten to a point to where all of these different things had added up. And I was just like, yo, come on. There's no reason to even keep going on.
And now, what was going on in your head? Do you think, I mean, because we obviously know that Satan is alive, and he's throwing stuff in your mind, he's taking these situations. I mean, what was the oppression and stuff that was going on in your life at this time? I mean, some people feel like, I've talked to other people, like, we'll get to the Ben story, but there's a situation where you feel like there's like this darkness, like this cloud over you, people that are suicide. Some people hear voices. There's different things. What were the symptoms that you were going through?
My mind. In the past, because I never talked about it. I always knew that this stuff was going on inside of me, but I never was open about it with anyone. I think my dad and my brother were really the only people that kind of knew what was going on. And the only time that I would talk about it was when I would be extremely drunk, and it would come out.
That's when it comes out. Exactly.
And that's when this stuff would come out. And it's when I was this week prior or 2 weeks prior to that POD show, I was sober. And I started planning in my head. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Whoa. But I kept planning in my head, sober, how I was going to do it. And that was when it really hit me, like, yo, you're really in trouble. You're really in trouble. Because I'm not drunk, and it's midday, and I'm planning how I'm going to take my life.
You're literally thinking out in your mind, going through the steps of, like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, because, I mean, my dad raised my brother and I both, so really I have a big family in the South, but for the most part, I just have my dad and my brother. So for me, the last thing is I don't want to hurt them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I would be stressed out, I would say that I was going to Portland. I would go sit in the shower and just let the shower head fall on me.
Right.
So I'm telling myself in my head, bro, you could go to Portland. You could bleed out before anyone even thinks anything. Because I did it all the time. I would go, oh man, we're in a drought. I didn't even think about that right now. Put myself on blast in the drought. But I would sit in there for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, you can sit in there for a good amount of time. You would bleed out. Wouldn't even be a mess. Wouldn't be that much for them to see.
Yeah.
Your pain would be gone.
Pain would be gone, which is a total lie.
Absolute lie.
If you're listening right now, this is live with Ryan Ries. I got Jimmy Brown in the studio. He's the lead singer from Dose. If that were to happen, it's not the end. That's the thing. Us that are believers and us that have a relationship with Jesus Christ, we know that when we close our eyes and we take our last breath, that's actually the beginning of eternity. So here you are. You're thinking about this is the way I'm gonna let my life go. I'm gonna get my way out. But then what happened? What was the process? How you actually found God and turned your whole life around?
Basically, that night when we ran into you, you invited us to come down to church the next Friday.
I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. See, I'm a good guy.
And I knew that I was at the end of my rope. I knew that I needed something. And we went, and after church, you, Ben, Tyler, and I, we all went to Chili's and hung out. And you guys both, just broke it down for us. You guys were straight up with us. I'd never met anybody that was that straight up about their past or the things that they had gone through. And when Ben started talking about suicide, I had never heard someone just be completely open with me about suicide or talking about having suicidal thoughts, because my biggest thing is I would never talk about it because everyone was going to think you're crazy.
Right. Well, yeah.
So
absolutely.
That night when Ben talked about it, it just, I don't know, it hit me so hard. And I was just like, if these things can happen in these guys' lives, why can't they happen in mine? And I just went that way and didn't really look back. Yeah, I just started going to church, and so many things just started hitting me, and it just little by little.
So, it wasn't like this. If people that are listening, they're like, okay, so wait, this guy just started going to church and it was all over. No, there's obviously a process.
Yes.
So you started coming to church. You started reading your Bible. Yes. Did I give you guys a Bible?
Yeah, no, that first night that we came down, you got me hooked up with everything that I needed.
I probably got you the Chuck Smith devotion.
You did.
What's
Just the whole setup.
Yeah. Chuck Smith devotion, got you New Living Translation Bible.
Yep.
Probably got you some worship CDs and maybe the Holy Spirit book from Chuck Smith.
Yeah.
Living Water.
Few books from Brian. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Head's book too. His devotion, and then Save Me From Myself. Boom. That's the kit.
Yeah.
So you just started reading through this stuff.
Yeah.
Going to church. What was the how did God start working in your life? Just so people can hear how this whole thing worked out for you.
I honestly think it was just the fact that I started to actually face myself. I started to actually face the things that were going on inside of me. And I knew that because all the things that I had done for so long made me really feel like, yo, you're a terrible person, dude. This is how your life's supposed to be. This is how God planned it for you. Your life is supposed to be like this. And when I really started facing myself and dealing with the things with my mom, things just started to change. And even when I would fall back and mess up, I would just kind of get up and keep going in that direction. And slowly but surely, it wasn't overnight. Dude, since I started walking with God, the last 3 years have probably been the gnarliest years of my life. Yeah. I've seen the most stuff, but the way that I've dealt with it and the person that I've become in that process, it blows my mind.
What is it? James 1, it talks about the trials and tribulations. When you go through those, they produce character. They produce Christian character. And we were actually talking about this a little bit earlier today. The last 2 years in our lives, I think all of us have gone through some pretty crazy things. But God, He takes people out of your life. He puts people into your life, and He's developing and shaping you into what you're going to be. And it's not always the easiest. Like you said, you went through some of the... I've talked to you over the last couple of years. We've stayed in contact, obviously, and you're like, dude, crazy stuff. I'm like, dude, me too. Just keep going.
Yeah,
Just keep charging.
Honestly, and that's really how it goes. I think a lot of people have this misconception, you start walking with God and everything just becomes sunflowers and fairy tales, and it's not.
No,
it's not. And it's hard work. But it's the best decision you'll ever make in your entire life. It's the best decision I've ever made.
I think the question is, so if people are listening, they're going, well, why in the heck would I even walk with God? Right. Answer that question, Sean.
Well, what he was saying right now is I was just about to say this, watching Jimmy's life and everything that he went through and seeing what took place in his mom's life. No doubt it affected him. Those major situations that happen in our life, they affect us. And you have a way to deal with it. Either you deal with it or you deal with it in a way of suppressing it. In your case, it was drinking, it was, living a lifestyle, it was music. And when you were, enraptured with all that stuff, that was your focus. You were okay, because you're suppressing it. You're not dealing with it. But understand this, there's a day of reckoning in everybody's life where everybody's gone, you're alone. You start doing inventory yourself, and then when you're by yourself, you think your mind is racing with all the mistakes you've made, where your life has become, like, and you want it to give up. You know, that's a place where many of us came. You know, you could never get sober, Ryan. For myself, I couldn't get sober, and I was dealing with DUIs, and you look at your name at court things, you're like, dude, this isn't what my life's supposed to be. You know, I never wanted to commit suicide because of love for my family, but I know there was many times that I didn't want to live any longer. It's like you're self-destructive. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to rock out, party out, and that's it. I'll probably overdose. I'll probably get busted or whatever. But when you come to realize, you know, one thing that Jimmy said is that when he came in contact with Ryan and Ben and these guys, it was like there was something that was there. It was like a glimmer of hope. And, dude, one thing that everybody needs in life is hope. Mm-hmm. Without hope, dude, you'll melt down. The enemy is real, like you were saying. Satan's real. He wants to disguise what reality is. He wants to make you so overwhelmed by temporary circumstances, what you see here and there, and make you feel like you can't make it through. But God says, all that you've been through, all that you've done, I don't care what it is, I can forgive you, I can wipe the slate clean, and you can have a brand new start. And that weight that you're trying to carry yourself, it's going to get harder and harder as years go on, and you can't bear it yourself. Jesus says this, come to me, all you are heavy laden, and I shall give you rest. So why should you walk with God? Because you can't carry the burden yourself. It will beat you down. You will try to drown it out with drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever it is, fame, money, like he was saying. Like, imagine, your band, you love music, this is what you want to do, you want to make it to these high levels, you hit that platform, and then it's like, well, dude, I'm more lonely than ever. And we've seen this on display over many years, especially since the television. We look at all the documentaries of all these huge musicians that have reached these heights of fame. You think of Elvis Presley, he died in his early 40s, battling with drug addiction. You think of Michael Jackson, died of drug addiction going back and forth. You think of Kurt Cobain, committed suicide with a shotgun, and he reached these high plateaus because the reality of it is, when there's a day of reckoning, when you're looking upon yourself, man, there's something wrong. And the thing is like there's a void in every man and every woman's heart that it can only be filled by God. And that's it.
And that's how the enemy gets you, is with the mind games. I mean, I can't tell you, man, for years, I mean, ever since I was in high school, all the crazy things I was doing. And, like, I mean, there's stuff I don't even talk about. There's the things I've done to people and different sketchy stuff where your mind, I start drinking to forget.
About it.
Using drugs to forget. I remember seeing my ex-girl, Angie, in a club or like this place we were out in Hollywood one night. And because this whole situation with her, what did I do? I went to the bathroom and I had an 8-ball of Coke. And I didn't do the whole thing, but I just remember getting a key and I was just putting bump after bump in my nose until like I was completely numb to deal with me seeing her in this place, you know, and then, you know, hooking up with people and just doing all these different things. And then my mind, when you're sober, you start thinking about all these things that you've done, and all you want to do is sedate yourself.
Right.
As long as you can keep your buzz on, drinking a couple beers, keep that steady buzz or whatever it is, you don't have to deal with that stuff.
That's right.
But then what happens when I decided to give my life to God? I actually, you know, one of our writers, Adrian Lopez, one of my friends, found me in a hotel room in Panama, OD'd, and you know he called my parents, and you guys know the story, and they prayed, and thank God I came back to life. But when I got sober, I had to start dealing with who in the heck is Ryan Ries, right. You know, because I've been stoned. Or not actually, I stopped smoking weed a while ago, but I was drunk all the time, always on drugs, and always using cocaine. So when I sobered up, like, okay, well, I'm sober now. What do I do? Like,
right.
Normally I go out to the house and start drinking with my friends. I'm sober now. It's Friday night. What do I do? You know, and you have to like deal with your mind, and your mind is crazy. So what happens? You start going to church, you start reading the Bible, and what does the Word of God do? It starts renewing our mind. As you read that stuff and you start getting plugged into church, your whole mind, like, it changes the way you look at life. Sure. Like the trees are like green. You hear the birds chirping. Yeah. You know, it's like, dude, you hear the ocean, like, right. All these different things. Your mind your whole look on life, the way things you used to look at things have completely changed. Like, I don't even want to go get wasted anymore. Some of my friends are like, dude, you're sober for 7 years? I'm like, dude, you couldn't even pay me $1 million to drink a beer right now.
Right.
Dude, I feel so free and so cool. I could think straight. I don't have anxiety, dude. I'd get panic attacks. I remember I would drink too much or use too many drugs. The next day, I'd be having panic attacks, or I'd want to like drink beer. I would drink beer to calm down my panic attacks. You get anxiety, all that stuff, dude. That's straight the devil, dude.
Right.
And that's how he messes with us. It's with our mind. And he'll take you in different ways. Take you to suicide like you.
Yep.
Take me to drugs and alcohol even more. From the outside, I was always having fun. I was always loaded. Always loaded. And the only thing I had in my mind was getting loaded and hooking up with chicks, right?
Yeah.
So it's a whole mind game. But when you give your life to God, He's not looking for perfect people. You just give your life to God and start reading the Bible. If you don't have a Bible, dude, go buy a New Living Translation. That's for people that can't read the King James. I can't read the King James. I can't even pronounce half the words in there because I can't read. I got a 5th grade reading level. Read the New Living Translation. It's the normal English. Read about Jesus. Dude, he was punk rock. He was tearing it up. Him and his disciples, this motley crew of dudes. I mean, you start learning about him, and then you start realizing, you're like, dude, if I was around when Jesus was around, that's like me and my crew. You got the Sons of Thunder. Those guys had like anger problems. Peter was like the tough guy, always putting his saying crazy stuff, but he was like courageous and fearless. I mean, his crew of people, it's like this crew of people in this room right now.
And that's why we have the show to talk about all of these things. You know, if you are tuning in right now or you're watching online, which you can, always know this. You're listening to us on the radio. You can always watch us live at ryan-reese.com. If you want to call in, maybe there's some stuff that we've been chopping up right now that's starting to speak to you. We want to hear from you. That's why we have this show. You can call in at 888-564-6173. Again, the number is 888-564-6173, or you can comment on any of our social medias. It's crazy what God's been doing with the radio. More stations are being picked up. I know you were just saying Myrtle Beach is picking up right now.
Myrtle Beach just got picked up. And New York right now and Manhattan and New Jersey is the next set. It's 42 stations right now, dude. 13 states. It's blowing up. But, yeah, we want to hear from you, man. Give us a call in now at that number, and we want to chop it up with you. You know what's crazy about this whole suicide thing? Since we're talking with you, that thing that was on the news recently with that girl.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Michelle Carter.
Michelle Carter. So if you guys haven't heard about this girl, she's basically, what is she, like under 18 or was she 18?
18. Both of them were 18.
She's
Her and her
18.
boyfriend.
She's 18 years old, and her boyfriend's 18 years old, and he's been talking to her about suicide. And he was talking about, like, I guess being like Romeo and Juliet and both dying together, and she's like, I'm not going to die. And then basically he's been talking about suicide so much that he starts texting her saying, I want to do it. And she says this comment to him. This is like on the news. You could look it up. She sends a text message to him saying, she says, if you go kill yourself, everyone will be sad for a while, but they will get over it and they will move on. So she's like encouraging her boyfriend to commit suicide. Then she writes another text to him saying, you have to just do it. You have everything you need. There is no way you can fail. Tonight is the night. It's now or never to kill yourself. She actually taught him how to hook up his car to the to the exhaust.
Right,
so the exhaust goes back into the car and then you just basically die. So she's basically ushering him, helping him set it up so he could kill himself. And then she's sending all these texts, and he was actually having second thoughts going, I don't know if I want to do it. I don't think the exhaust is hooked up. And she's like, don't be scared. Stay in that car. And now the guy ended up dying, and now she ushered him into it. So now it's this whole court thing.
Right.
Is she guilty? Is she not? I mean, how evil? I mean, talking about mind games. I mean, how evil and what kind of influence do you have in your mind to try and help someone commit suicide? The guy obviously did not want to commit suicide. I mean, he was asking for help. When you want to commit suicide and you're telling people, you're literally you're shouting from the rooftops. Is that safe to say, Jimmy?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it wasn't a thing that I wanted to die. It was just this intense pain that I felt like I could never deal with or handle, and it would come up so much, and I feel like it's really hard for people to reach out and ask for help. It's gnarly to ask for help, and when this guy's asking for help, he really needed help. You know,
did.
he's like you said, screaming.
Because
for help.
there's the people, like I've had a couple of friends commit suicide, and some people they just do it, and it just happens, you know.
Never say anything.
Nothing. You're like, are you kidding me? Like, I know him. Like, if you're hanging out, like, how could this even happen? Not in a million years you would think that guy would have done it. But then you have the guys that are screaming it out. I mean, dude, they're all over Instagram. If you just go to Instagram and type in hashtag cutting or suicide, you got people screaming it out. I mean, literally, you'll see people that are cut, these cuts going up and down their arm, these kids, they're taking pictures of themselves where it's like cut through the skin where there's like white, like past the red part. And they're posting pictures and saying, I want to die. Yeah. I mean, and these kids are asking for help. And there's actually I've seen a lot of people on there that are actually scanning through them. They're talking to these kids. I mean, dude, talking about a ministry, you could do that full time from your house, reaching out to these kids. It's
Suicide's a major thing in every aspect. You have young people that commit suicide. Huge in the military. You know, we have a lot of...
Talk about the military. How many people?
Well, they say from the time that the wars began here, you know, in Afghanistan and Iraq in the early 2000s, there is way more suicides that have killed our soldiers than them dying in war. Like huge numbers. I don't want to say the numbers because I don't want to say them false.
Yeah.
But they are huge numbers. I know their main stats. It happens every day. And it comes back to the battle of the mind, the stuff that they've seen, the stuff that they've gone through. And the enemy just plays war games in your mind. You know, like what Jimmy was saying, it's like you don't want to deal with stuff, so you hide it. You don't think that there's any way that it can change. You never think you can get sober. You think that there's no hope, there's no way out. And, dude, the enemy is going to feed those lions. God's not with you. You might as well give up. You know, your dad did this study. I want to share this really quick. About 7 years ago, I listened to it like 40 times, Nehemiah chapter 4, and it was when they were called to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Nehemiah goes there, he's doing the work of God, and then there's these two men, Sanballat and Tobiah, on the outside, and it says, Nehemiah, what are you doing? You're trying to build this wall back, but guess what? If the fox gets on top of those walls, it's going to crumble and fall. You're wasting your time. And your dad broke it down as like, you know, that's the way the enemy works in our lives. Think of those walls being your life that have been broken and destroyed. And then God gets a hold of your life and it starts restoring and building it up. And Satan wants you to believe that there's no way. Done. You messed up too many times. There's no way out. God can't help you. But that's a lie from the pit of hell. The Bible said that Nehemiah was too busy doing the work of the Lord and being led by God's Spirit to give time for the enemy. And that's where you need to be.
And I want to touch on the one thing about when they're building the walls up in your life. Just like when you said you gave your life to Jesus Christ, it's not easy. No. Building those walls, okay, go build a wall. You know how hard that is? I've never done construction. Okay, I built a quarter pipe and a mini ramp one time. That was gnarly. But building a wall with brick and mortar or whatever you call it, the cements, and
right.
I mean, building this thing, I mean, you're talking, it's gnarly, back-breaking, hot out. I mean, it's strenuous, you know? And that's the way it is with when you follow Christ, is like you're getting your life back in order, and God's working on your mind. He's working on your heart. He's putting everything into perspective. He's giving you new life, and what he's doing is he's ripping things that are not good for you, the stuff that you were doing that was the reason why you're in the place where you're at now. He starts taking those things out of your life, and it's kind of gnarly. You know, but looking back after those 2 years, the last 2 years of my life, I'm like, dude, thank God he took these things out of my life. Right. Thank God he took these certain people out of my life. Thank God he brought these people into my life. Thank God he's doing all these things, because we know that one verse, all things work together for good for those that love Jesus Christ, that are in his will. And it's, dude, honestly, I used to not like that verse. Sometimes I don't like that verse when you're going through the hell. But, dude, at the end of the day,
yeah.
Epicness.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes it's hard for me to even get my head around it. Like, I just sit and think about it, and I think about all the things that have happened in my life, and just all the things that I've gone through, and all the things that I thought were so terrible, but it was really just building me to this moment.
Absolutely, and you know, we're gonna talk about that little devotion we read earlier today to encourage people towards the end. All right, we'll be back in about 2 minutes, so we'll see you soon.
More Live with Ryan Ries coming up.
Is everything all right?
Call now 1-888-564-6173 or post your questions using the hashtag #LiveRyanReese on his Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
I think I speak for the entire administration when I say whoop-de-doo.
Now, back to Live with Ryan Ries. Don't say we didn't warn you. Loud noises!
And we are back. If you guys just tuned in, we have Jimmy Brown from Dose, the band Dose. He's the lead singer. He's actually, you're doing our Kill the Noise tours.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be high school tours. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I don't know, the last 30 minutes of the show, we've just been talking about suicide and how we all know someone that deals with suicide. Maybe it's a family member or a friend, or you know, I don't know. People just in the street that we run into. A lot of people deal with it, and he actually was dealing with it for many years, from 13 to the age of what?
I was 32.
So
When I
13
finally
to
gave my life to
32
the
years
Lord, yeah.
old. And he was on this track, and he was planning out in his head how he was going to kill himself. And then we met up with him at a concert, took him to church, had a conversation with him. He found God, and God brought him out of it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it, about now what he's doing, that he actually overcame suicide. He has a walk with God. He's in a band. We want to hear a little bit about that. But before we go there, Sean, what do we got going on this week?
Well, just a reminder to all those listeners that are out there, the things that we've been talking today, if they're connecting with you or anything, any question you want to ask us, you can call in always at 888-564-6173. Again, that number is 888-564-6173. You can always watch live online at ryan-reese.com, and you can respond on any of Ryan's socials if you have any questions or comments. The radio, it's been amazing, dude. Over 41 stations, but actually in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, they're picking us up now, too. There's other things that are in the works right now. You guys will be hearing about that real shortly as well. You can download all the podcasts of all these shows. We've been doing this show since the end of February. I can't believe it. But you can do that anytime, so make sure that you download that. If you want to donate to the cause, donate to everything that's taking place with the Whosoevers and the movement, and giving Ryan the opportunity and the guys to go into rehabs and to go to high schools, and you want to get behind it, or the radio itself, you can always donate at ryan-reese.com as well. Hit the donate button. And you guys are going to Israel, Ryan, coming up in April 5th through the 17th. Not just Israel, but there's a Greece extension as well.
There's over 100 people going, because it's the Whosoevers and my dad's group.
Yeah.
But we're all going together. So there's over 100 people going on this trip. It's going to be insane.
All those trips are so special. Like when you go on those trips, man, you get like a team, like a posse.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
You get a lot of close relationships on that tour. Like friendships you'll have probably for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And then what you were saying right now too is with Jimmy. The Kill the Noise tour is starting up like in about a week or so.
When is it? Is it a week?
September 30th is going to be the first one at Summit High in Fontana, then at Rancho Verde and Moreno Valley, October 2nd, Oak Hills, October 28th, and I know there's still some that are coming in.
There's one in Watts. Is that the Oak Hills one?
I don't have that one here right now.
There's another one in Watts.
I think we were changing the date on that.
You know
one.
what just opened up, Jimmy? Slauson. No, wait. Is this Slauson?
Slauson?
Is it Slauson or is it Compton?
Slauson, Compton.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
It's one of
Compton.
It could be Compton.
I'm down.
So anyway, we're going in, and hey, Jimmy, tell us a little bit about your experience when we went to the high schools, because when we did them last year. What was your experience? What was the encounters you had with the kids after you played? What were the conversations?
It was really, really amazing for me because up until that point when we started playing the shows, I hadn't started talking about my dealings with suicidal thoughts and like just the things that had gone on in my life on stage, because I kind of felt like, it still kind of freaks me out to talk about that on stage. Yeah. And when we were going to the schools, I really, really knew that it was time to start talking about that. And it just pushed me to step out, and just the reaction from the kids, man.
What did that feel like when you did? Because what you're saying is you've been dealing with the suicidal thing in your head, in your mind, and then God takes it away from you, and now he's starting to use you, but you don't. It's kind of gnarly when you like actually say, like for me, if I said, yeah, man, I used to shoot heroin and smoke crack.
Yeah.
It's kind of not the thing you really want to say to people.
No,
and like
dude.
People look at you kind of funny.
So
They're
that's
like,
you want
whoa.
on your resume.
But then when you say it, all of a sudden the guy's like, dude, I used to struggle with heroin too, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh, dang. And then you get in a
Connects.
conversation, you lead them to God somehow.
Yeah.
But for you're there and you never even talked about this. And we were at the first high school.
Yeah.
And you came up to me and you're like, I'm going to say it. I'm like, say what?
Yeah. And I just knew that it was time. I knew that I had to start talking about it on stage because I really when I started walking with the Lord, I really realized that was my purpose. Like I for a long time I thought I was this cool guy, and I thought like I was talented, and I thought that it was all because I was this cool, talented guy. And the reality of it is I'm here to talk about that. Like that, the music is just the vessel. Yeah. It's just the way for me to get in front of these kids or whoever needs to hear what I have to say. And my story is the reason that I'm actually here. Like I'm here to talk about that.
That is one of the main reasons, besides the fact that we're friends and your band sounds amazing and the sound, it's epic. The album's amazing. But I really was stoked when I called you. I remember just going, hey, Jimmy, dude, we're going to these high schools. This isn't like this huge paying thing. We're just going because we feel like we got to go let these kids know about Jesus. And you're like, dude, I'm there, dude. I don't want no money, man. We're there. And I'm like, what about work? We're going to get off work. We're going to be there, Ryan. You just tell us what high schools. And I'm like, sick. All right. Well, we'll figure out the details,
Yeah, no, I know that that's what we're supposed to be doing and where we're supposed to be. And you could just see it. As soon as I started talking about it, you just see all these kids in front of us, just their guard drops.
Yeah, I noticed
and their ears just are wide open, and they want to hear what you have to say. It's unreal.
So from where I was at, I was side stage watching you guys on. You guys come on, the whole school's around you guys. The song comes out, you're like, hey, what up, we're Dos, and you start playing. Everyone's kind of like looking, but like jabbing their friends and kind of talking, like they're in, but they're not in.
Yeah.
And then right after that first song, you're like, hey, man, I want to commit suicide when I was 13 years old. And, dude, all of a sudden, everything just changed.
Yeah.
And, dude, people were, like, zoned in, and you had them.
Yeah. And it
was crazy.
It's unreal. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Did you tell me about, did any stories, anyone come up to you after and hit you up about, maybe they were kind of going through some mental stuff or?
Definitely. Both schools, there were different kids that came up and they wanted to talk, and I've gotten messages online and just kids talking about how grateful they were that we came that day and that we talked about what we talked about and just how much it helped them.
Yeah, one girl actually, I think she group Facebooked
Yes.
us. She said, hey, thank you guys for coming to our school. She's like, I used to think that suicide was the way out, but after you guys came, I realized I have a purpose.
Yes.
Dude, that was super sick, man, that one. And then there's other tons of other conversations we had. We got some calls coming in, so I want to grab this call from Carissa from Rancho. Actually, I don't know if her phone call's working right now. We're gonna have to wait till this thing comes through. But yeah, those high school tours were pretty epic. This girl's phone call's not coming through, but let's just answer this phone call. What inspired Jimmy to start a band?
Honestly, I was really just searching for happiness in my life. I really wanted, everybody wants to be happy. We're all just searching to be happy. Mm-hmm. And this is the lamest thing ever, but it's the truth. It's the truth. I was a huge Blink-182 fan, and I used to see Mark Hoppus on stage and just see how happy this dude was playing bass and doing what he did. And at the time, I have people in my family. There's a musical background, but at the time I had no idea. And I just saw how happy he was playing bass and playing music, and I was like, I want to be that happy. Like, maybe that is what's going to find this happiness for me. And that was kind of my introduction into playing music. And from there, it went to where I was able to start writing lyrics about all the things that I couldn't talk about, and kind of I never really talked about suicide or things like that in the songs. I kind of hinted at them and hid them in different ways.
So now, how since the music has changed since you actually gave your life to God, because your mind has changed?
Yes.
What are the lyrics now? What are some of the songs about? I know you wrote On Top of the World, and then tell me a couple of lyrics. What are the meanings behind a couple of your guys' songs?
I feel like the songs were always honest. But now there's just a different level of honesty, and I'm just putting it all out there because I'm not really worried about what anyone's going to think about the things that I'm talking about, Mm-hmm. And I definitely wrote a song that is about my struggles with suicide, and now, I mean, the high school shows pushed me to start talking about that on stage, and now I talk about it every time that we play.
I noticed that. I went to go see you in a bar. We went to this bar down in you guys. Cause you know what I love about your guys too? This is another banging thing about their band. These guys actually go and play in dirty bars where all the drunks are.
Yes.
You guys are where the sinners are. You know?
Yes.
I hear sometimes I'll post photos of me at a concert, or I'll go to a electronic a rave, or I'm in all these different areas because I feel that God has called me to be that light in those dark places. When I go there, I mean, dude, we've led people to the Lord backstage, side stage, in the parking lot. I remember being with Fieldy we went to go see I can't even think of their name right now, but we went out to go see this band at the Palladium or whatever, and we were backstage, and Fieldy's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm all, "Dude, let's go talk to some kids and see if we can lead them to the Lord." So he's like, "Well, we can't lead anyone to the Lord backstage." I go, "Well, let's go out into the parking lot, to the front where the kids can't even get in." So we were out there, dude, and I led 5 people to the Lord. Just, I mean, not that I want a reward, a pin on my chest, but
opportunities.
Mm-hmm. We were there, started chopping it up, common ground, my story, what's their story, and just led them to the Lord. And that's what I love about your band. You're out there, you're telling your story in these bars. I was there at that Orange County bar, and dude, people were coming up after when you started talking, and these guys they weren't Christians, obviously, but dude, they were stoked on what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And those are the seeds. It says that we throw the seeds and some water, some plant, or some plant, some water, but then God makes it grow.
Right.
And that he's the grower. We just got to be out there. And what you're doing is you're a farmer on seed. You're the farmer on the stage, just throwing seeds out.
Yeah. It kind of freaked me out at first, honestly. I was like, is this where we should be playing? Is this what we should be doing? And then I thought to myself, I'm like, yo, dude, who else is going to go into this place and talk about this?
Oh,
you
sure.
are.
And that's where the
you
need's
are.
at. I mean, there's so many people battling with depression and stuff in those scenes. More and more with younger people, dude, with the social media that's out there, dude, it is a study. There's studies that are out there. Because of all the impression of so much social media and so much technology and stuff, people are being more depressed. My brother's a firefighter, and a paramedic, so he deals with so much stuff. There are so many young people that battle with depression and anxiety on so many different kind of pills.
I get anxiety. I get anxiety looking at Instagram.
I know.
I get anxiety from it. Do you not?
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to shut all myself off
phone.
too.
I'm like, dude, I'm getting anxiety from Instagram right now. Think about kids that don't have money or anything, and they're seeing all this stuff that they wish they had. They're not only getting anxiety from Instagram, but they're getting anxiety from all the stuff they don't have.
Yeah.
Depression, all this stuff. We got a bunch of phone calls, so I want to go ahead and take this call. Diego from Los Angeles. How you doing, Diego?
Oh, I'm great. I just wanted to ask you, so do you go into the school auditoriums or like outside, or like how do you work? 'Cause you said
there's two formats. What we'll do is we like to go do an after school event. So what we do is we bring a full stage sound and the band's set up, and then we have one of our friends that like flips dirt bikes. He'll come out and like do wheelies in the parking lot or whatever. But what we do is we set up a full stage for a concert. So right when school ends, about 5 to 10 minutes after it ends, we actually have Dose play, and then I get up and I'll tell my story, which will lead into basically the gospel message. Then there's another format where, if depending on the school, but we come in and we actually do assemblies as well.
That's great. That's really great. Is there any way anyone, like, I'm a high school student myself, is there any way I could get involved?
Absolutely. This is what I would like you to do. Go ahead and email info@thewhosoevers.com. Shoot us an email and we'll get back to you, and we would actually come to your school. What school are you at?
I'm at University Senior High School.
Okay, what city is that?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yeah.
Good.
Dude, we'll come down. All we need is a student to actually help us get us in there.
Oh, yeah.
And,
that's great for the gospel. I know. I actually had some struggles with suicide myself, and I kind of was like a backsliding Christian. I was trying to live for myself and trying happiness away from God, but I couldn't do it, and God just kept on leading me back to Him, and I just gave up on myself, and I just, I turned back to God, and He's giving me the most peace and joy and happiness and contentment, and you can do anything or any object or any, drugs could ever do.
Want to say anything, Jimmy?
No, I mean, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Dude, that's so rad. No, it is. God gives us peace. And I love what you said, Diego, when you said you have to lose yourself. Literally, we have to lose our life so we can find our life in Christ.
Yeah, because we'll lose it for the gospel, we'll find it.
Exactly,
Pick up
dude.
our cross daily.
Well, hey, man, we're looking forward to talking to you later on and catching up and actually coming to your high school and doing a concert for you guys.
Okay, so
info@thewhosoevers.com, or you can go to ryan-reese.com and just email me, and we'll get back to you, man. Love you, brother. Take it easy.
Take care, Diego.
All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and take this. Teresa from New Hampshire. How you doing, Teresa?
How you doing?
Doing good. What is your question tonight?
Well, first I'm going to let you know I'm an old lady. I'm 54.
Awesome.
We're catching up on you.
I just I go to sleep with this radio station on, and I woke up at the right time. I have a knee that cuts. Mm-hmm. I don't know much about it, but I heard you guys talking about this girl in the car and go ahead and do it, and it just started me thinking about, I've seen like the world change so dramatically. I was telling the girl I was waiting to on hold, it's almost like I've lived in 2 time warps.
Yeah.
I was born in 61. The internet came on board in 2000 when I was in my 30s. I can't believe how much in 15 years the actual world has changed around me and the way it interacts. And the skills that have been lost, like the ability to read a person's face.
Oh, yeah, communication has completely changed at this point.
It's not even there. Nothing's real.
No.
Yeah.
If you want someone to, me and my wife were talking about this the other day. We're like, if you want people to know that you're having a birthday or your birthday or you're having a kid, you announce it through social media.
For sure.
You don't even call them, hey, man, we're having a birthday party. It's like,
I don't.
Yeah.
I guess I live under a rock. I don't have a Facebook page.
Right.
You're smart.
I don't feel like I need to go and like some demigod and tell everybody every 10 seconds what I'm about to do.
Or about to eat.
Yeah, what I'm going to eat. It's just so wrapped up in the me.
Right.
And I have a 16-year-old son who's really awesome. But I'm trying to help him understand that he doesn't even have the frame of reference to go back to the time before.
Right.
It was electronic.
You know what our deal is? This is our deal, Teresa. I'm glad you called, because this whole high school tours that we're doing right now, they're called Kill the Noise. And that's the whole concept that I came up with, was kill the noise that is keeping you away from the purpose why you were created. The noise is the Instagram, the Facebook, the what other people have, the music, the computers, it's all this social media and all this stuff around you that literally is this white noise in your life. And people get so consumed with this stuff that think about how many hours, because it's like the youth. I mean, think about, we're on Instagram, okay? Because we're doing our business through it. But think about the kid that actually lives on it. How many hours a day is actually being spent on Instagram looking at noise that doesn't progress you it doesn't move you forward in life. It actually sets you back because you're just wasting. You can't get back time. You're talking like 10 hours a day or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. But Teresa, this is the generation we live in. And we want to thank you for calling. But you know what? If you can, let your niece know about the movement. She can watch some videos. We have people that were suicidal, cutters, people that came out of homosexuality, all these different walks of life. But God has a purpose for them.
No, for sure.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, with
all this stuff.
Yeah, man. And with all the social media stuff like that, I mean, people are, they're updating all this stuff. You know what they're screaming? They are screaming for communication.
They are.
It is. Everybody wants to be loved. That's what it comes down to. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to feel like they're valued and stuff. But the problem is when you
by looking in the eyes.
Right. The problem is when you're starting to find your identity in a fake facade. And that's what people do after a while. One thing that Jimmy said I thought was key, like in his life, that now you come to the Lord. Now he's been walking with the Lord the last couple of years. It's recognizing your identity in Christ. It's dealing with life situations, right, Jimmy? Like, it's like for so many years you didn't deal with it, but that's why you said it's kind of been more difficult in your life because now you're actually dealing with stuff, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, there were so many different situations that came on with my mom's suicide and my own struggles with it, my anger and my temper and all of these things that I just had to face when I got to this point, and I really just had to start dealing with myself.
And that's a place where some people struggle a lot because once they get sober and then they look at the destruction of their life, or they see like, man, I wasted like 10 years. Some people, they get overwhelmed. Like me and Ryan, we know guys that sold dope and drugs for a long time, and they start maybe coming to church. They start having a little bit of clarity of thought, but then they're like, man, I've never had a real job. I used to make tons of money doing this, or girls that we knew that came out of stripping and stuff. And they start looking at the destruction of life and they start getting overwhelmed. Where the Lord wants you to trust Him, that He's going to start restoring those aspects of life, and it is going to be tough sometimes. You guys both brought up that verse, all things work together for good for who love God, who are called according to His purpose. The key to that is, in the next verse it says, what God's purpose is to conform us into the image of His Son. And He does that by problems sometimes, situations, and testings that happen in our life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to regret how much time they've wasted on social media.
Right.
Seriously, like
sure.
there's so much, you can waste so much time on social media. And these kids, I mean, think about when we were young, dude, we were out playing like sports and just out and doing it. I mean, the only way you can get a hold of us by the time we were in high school was like paging, know?
For sure.
Hit me on the hip. Maybe what needs to happen is it needs to go backwards to paging.
Yeah.
We need to go back to dumb phones and just to hit me on the hip.
You do need to get out, dude. You do need to get out and do stuff and connect with people. To me, that's really important. I think with my kids, man, that's why I like them playing sports and doing stuff out, because it's so easy to get locked in, playing video games and all that kind of stuff and just waste away.
Awesome. Right on. We're going to take Letitia from Pico Rivera. Uh-oh.
Yo, Letitia.
Are you there?
Are you there?
Hello. Uh-oh. We're going to put her on hold for a minute. We'll get back to her.
Okay.
But so what do you have anything to say, Jimmy, on just like with do you know any people that have dealt with like cutting or anything like that?
I honestly don't. Mm-hmm. I don't know any people that have dealt with cutting, but I know that it's a huge thing amongst young people right now. And I mean, I think the best thing that I could say is all of those things that you're dealing with that are going on inside of your mind is really just to understand that there is hope. There is life beyond that, and you can overcome those things. That was the biggest thing, is I never thought that I was going to overcome those things. I never thought that I was going to get past that. And being in my position now and the person that I am and looking back, I I don't even get it sometimes. I don't understand the things that God has changed in my life. It's crazy to me.
So now, like, what's going on in your life now? For me, we got like probably 7 minutes left. What's God doing in your life now? And what's your game plan here moving forward?
Basically, God is just helping me rebuild all the things that I destroyed. Like, I basically ran amok for so long and didn't take care of a lot of things in my life. And when I gave my life to God, I was at rock bottom, obviously. And like I said, the next 3 years, things were extremely hard. Like, example, my dad lost our childhood home a week before we left for Warped Tour. This is like 6 months after I gave my life to God.
That's right, you guys went on the Warped Tour.
Yeah, and my dad lost our childhood home the week before. My dad was struggling with alcoholism. My dad's 77. So, just right now, sorry, I'm getting lost.
No,
but
don't worry about it.
Right now is the rebuilding process. Like, my dad is sober. My dad's been
Amazing.
sober. Yeah, my dad has been sober now longer than he ever has in my life. I'm 35 years old. My brother and I are taking care of my dad. Like, it just rebuilding. A lot of things are getting better and better. I mean, it's like I said, it's hard process, but everything is rebuilding, you know.
But I think we have 2 minutes left. I got updated, but a lot of people can relate to this, you know, because I mean, you don't have the perfect life.
Nah, dude.
You're blue collar,
ain't got no money. Like, everybody thinks my band's doing cool stuff, but the reality is, man, it's hard work. We're just doing a lot of hard work, and I'm trying to do everything for the right reasons, man, and just do the things that I know that God wants me to do. And it's not easy by any means.
Well, what do you got to say to any kids that are trying to start a band, or just young people in general that are maybe in that place where you were at, and they're, you know, what any words of wisdom?
Just do it because you love it and have fun doing it. You know, that's the most important thing about it, is just enjoy it and have fun with it, I think.
Yeah. Keep your eyes on God.
Yeah.
Because if not, it's gonna be
like
all self.
I forget what his name was, but like the young man that just said, you know, he was straying away and like coming back to the Lord. He has purpose again and peace in his life, and he realized that there's no object or anything in the world that's going to take that place.
Hey, Jimmy, real quick, the girl Clarissa that called in earlier that was trying to get through, she sent a message to let Jimmy know that his music has encouraged me and it helped me to not commit suicide.
No way. That is amazing. There it is. Facts.
Yeah. That's the thing. God can use any life, man. So what Jimmy's been saying a lot is like, it's hope. If you're out there, you feel like there's no hope, there's hope.
There is hope.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be back next week. Thank you, Jimmy, for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Always good hanging out with you, Mr. McKeon.
Always, man. Peace. Love you guys out there. See you next week.
This has been Live with Ryan Ries. To connect or find out more about Ryan, click on ryan-reese.com. Check us out next Saturday at 9 p.m. for Live with Ryan Ries.